So we are here in beautiful Chicago with two incredible people from the People's Action Network. And I'll let you all introduce yourselves here in a minute. But today we're going to talk about. So we're here for the National Democratic Convention, the DNC, and this is a huge moment for us. It's not only historic, but it's also a moment for us as People's Action, an organization that believes in driving power and actually us designing with our communities the future that we want to lead. And I want you to share with us, introduce yourselves and share what does it mean for us in this moment, and how do we use this moment, what's happening here, what's happening in the country, to advance our long-term agenda for Michigan, for New York, for every community across this country. What does it mean to you?
Yeah. I'm Juanita Lewis. I am the executive director of Community Voices Heard, but I have the honor of being the board chair for People's Action. And this moment is exciting. This is, it's not the first time that we've seen a woman or a woman of color running for president, but the fact that we have a nominee that is a Black woman, Southeast Asian, daughter of immigrants, right? HBCU grad, part of an amazing sorority, and full disclosure, right? And that's hella smart. This is just so exciting. And that is ready to move and lead and ready to protect and defend democracy in a way that we haven't seen in a long time. The energy's amazing and electric. Everyone's here that's excited and ready to get to work. So it's exciting. And I'm excited to see what this could look for New York, right? People are ready to knock on doors and even travel to swing states like Pennsylvania if necessary to get out the vote. But then having all those folks now activated and wanting to build deeper and bigger in states like in New York is truly exciting. And this is the catalyst for that.
Exactly. How about you, Ken?
I'm super excited to be here. My name is Ken Whittaker, the Executive Director of Michigan United, and I have the pleasure of being on the People's Action PAC board. But this convention is like a crossroads. And we've been saying for years that it's not about specific candidates, it's always about the issues. And this election has given us an opportunity to showcase that and showcase our political education as we've been teaching people all of the work in between elections. We've got a lot of people who aren't excited about, candidates. And, in the last month, things have changed a lot. But it allowed us to bring a lot of people into this movement that was not about candidates, just about issues, and then teach them how to organize on their issues and be able to lobby candidates and what power building really is. So to come here, see people so hyped up, see others that are protesting, have the conversations happen between the two, it's a beautiful thing, and it's reminiscent of what we have to do in Michigan and what we've been doing in Michigan.
Right. So can you say both? So there's always, we've seen this before, right? There was in 2008 with Obama, there was, and because we as organizers, as People's Action, and all of the people that make up, this incredible network, we're about building power. It's about advancing an agenda. But we've been here before, right? With the excitement. How are we? Can you say a little bit more about what specifically you as the president of our board, you're carrying the collective. You are part of our on our PAC board. What and you can talk about your contribution, what Michigan's doing, to collectively add to this win, because we know that for us in organizing, we've been saying this, it's always about what is the terrain that we will get out of this election in which we organize and build continue to move the next set of pieces that we need in this chessboard. But can you say more about the People's Action added value in this election?
Yeah.
And what we plan to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would, to your point around what we learned from 2008, right? We were there, we were all got excited about the hope and the change, and we just got swept up in it and didn't think about okay, so what do we take now with this hope and change, and what do we want out of this moment, right? And just assumed, okay, he was going to go with everything we want. There wasn't any other conversation going to happen, and we didn't do what we do as organizers, which is, okay, it's great that you won. Now this is what we need to see happen. What's your first 100 days look like? How are we a part of that conversation? Who are the people that we're bringing with us who are going to hold you accountable? And so we took those lessons and said, you know what? For 2024, we saw some stuff in 2020, right? And we saw the opening, right, with the change of presidency and like opportunities now to have a collective sigh of relief, but realizing like we might be back here in 2024. And so I would say starting to have those conversations about, well, what's the plan that we want to do? That we want to be able to walk in clearly about what do we want to see happen in this moment, regardless of who the candidate is, but clear about, volunteers that we want to activate, the kind of conversations that we want to have on the doors and on the phones and texting, and being able to follow up with folks to get them grounded and rooted in our organizations, right? And affiliate organizations that build the larger People's Action family to move a powerful agenda, a long-term agenda. And so, the fact that we want to get 43,000 volunteers to do all these things is amazing in itself, is historic, right? To be able to say we were able to move all those people to not only volunteer, but move other people to action. And then being able to see what happens from those conversations. Because again, I'm just thinking as an organizer, okay, clearly not all those folks are going to come, but if a small percentage of those people came out to something that TVH did or Michigan United did, like that builds our organizations. That's building up our power to not even hold someone accountable at the federal level, but what does that mean, for our local issues that are connected, right? Funding for housing, funding for stuff for healthcare, like it's all connected. So we have a game plan now to allow us to be able to compete on this terrain and then harken back to that.
Awesome. How about
Yeah.
Michigan and the collective? Like, what are some of the lessons from 2020 to now? Like, Michigan has been like part of like a lot of the deep canvas work that we did in 2020. What are some of the learnings that you think we learned the lesson back then?
Well, some of the same lessons that we couldn't just vote and just jump back. Oh, yes, change and hope. Everything's going to be fine now. It takes us right back to the lesson of movement politics. We have to hold people accountable. Yeah. The elections are just punctuation marks at the end of a sentence in the book that we're writing. Yeah. And the real work is done in between elections. So going into 2020, we had that, front of mind. So we're already thinking first 100 days. Going into 2024, we've already got the first 100 days, what we want moved. We learned enough to make contact with candidates long before their 100 days would even start so that we're primed to move this stuff. But in Michigan, especially as part of the collective, putting together hundreds of deep canvassers that are able to have conversations across rural areas, suburban areas, and urban areas, and getting people to collectively understand that we have a common enemy. And it's greedy corporations. It's not a particular candidate. It's about greedy corporations. These are the people these are the corporations aren't people, but these are the entities that are going to still be here regardless of a candidate and that are extracting wealth from our neighborhoods, organizing people on issues, using trusted messengers to reach the people that really don't want to talk to us. There's a group of people, our base, that want to hear from us. And then there are the undecideds that are just going to listen to their trusted messengers. So, our deep canvas is an opportunity of taking those trusted messengers and having them deliver a message that's going to keep people involved, not just on election day, but after election day.
And that's the beauty of our work and the beauty of what you and so many other of our incredible directors working on the ground do every day, right? It's like, how do you take an election moment? And for us, it's part of an organizing revival period, right? That we understand the essence and the power, the transformation that organizing brings, not just in these moments, but if there's someone who we may not have been able to move through a deep canvas conversation, our people are on the ground there. So like,
yes,
you are going to see that person. You're going to see them at the store. You're going to see them at the local bar. Yep. And then you're going to be able to have a conversation with them about what the election results meant for them. And
yes.
See, so that is the power of having organizations, institutions in every community, in every state that is making meaning of what happens in an election or in, local election, federal election. So that is the power of having this kind of infrastructure. And for us, as all of you have directed this network in a way that that it made us recommit the entire network to building deep base, the deep rigor of organizing and base building, that is what really identifies us. And this, it's our magic, right? Our magic power. And also that it is about building a base. Like you said, it's like we're going to be training 43,000 volunteers in deep canvas conversations and turning out 600,000 people. And we've learned from 2020 that when we have those kinds of conversations, we were able to move 48% of the people
Yes.
to talk. And that's huge. That's huge. That's huge. Not only to win this election, but also to build the long-term infrastructure we need in our communities.
And I expect that number to continue to go up because, like you said, that we're able to now translate what an administration does.
Exactly.
Where did the rubber meet the road? What changes took place in your life?
Yep.
Because when a candidate wins and they go on to govern, they then lose that responsibility, so to speak, of now translating, this is what I'm doing for you. But, it takes us back to organizing is how we bring about real change. But the vote is how we set ourselves up to be able to organize. So when we ask people, well, why are you voting? And they say, well, because I want change. We have to correct them right then and there. Voting isn't going to bring the change. Voting is going to allow you to organize to bring the change, and the organizing is what happens in between elections, which is why organizations like ours and People's Action exist year-round. And it's important to support organizations like this year-round because the work happens year-round. A lot of times we get in, the campaign mode and people say, well, you only come around when it's election season. But you can't say that about a power-building organization. So as long as we are on the ground doing the jobs that we do, our communities aren't getting stuck in that neglected cycle.
Yeah. And Juanita, this is the amazing, Ken, that, that magic and power of that is what power building is, right? Continues. You are there every day. And sometimes, there are leaders in our communities and I'm sure is that you see them grow, you see their children.
Yes.
And it's people that I still have people who call me who do I vote for? It made it 15 years ago that I worked with them on an issue and they made come and go from the organization, but they see you in the community and when it's election time, they call you.
Yeah.
What would you say, Juanita? Because one of the things is the people that are not with us and we continue to be with them and be their neighbors and in the same community, but there are also those who believe that my vote really doesn't matter. There's this energy and it's great. Somebody else will do it, but my vote really isn't gonna matter. And so, what are we doing? What are you doing to sort of bring those people along? Yeah. What do you think will get them excited?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's exciting about this is the opportunity to talk about the long-term agenda, right? And, Ken said this, people saying oh, I want to see change. And it's yes, the election won't bring about change, but it is a tool. It is a tactic. It's a strategy. It's a piece of the puzzle to get us one step closer. And the question is, what is that change you want to see? And it's usually stuff that we talked about our long-term agenda, right? When it comes, whether it's housing, whether it's democracy, whether it's healthcare, whatever that is, people are clear about what they want to see happen, but they need someone to connect the dots, right? And so it's us saying your vote actually does matter because it's one, outside of you're giving voice to a process, but it also gives you agency and an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to go a step further. And the way that your vote matters is because we had this conversation, I'm following up with you again, right? And I'm talking to you, I talked to you about voting. You told me all of this, but I'm going to be back. I'm going to be here. And in that case, your vote did matter, right? Because it's unfortunate that so many people feel like their votes don't matter because they've seen either politicians in particular fail them. And they connect the politician to a particular issue or structure. Therefore, they think the whole structure doesn't work. And we're listen, the structure's not perfect, but it's what we have right now. This is the terrain we have, right? Do we want to be able to compete? And voting is a part of the competing. And then being able to say, you know what, I'm building up a team to make sure that the issues that I care about, you're caring about, and we're holding you accountable to it. And you are part of a power building organization that teaches you how to do that.
It's about the making meaning of
the moment.
And the progress, right?
Yeah.
I have been reflecting a lot on the fact that we are in Chicago, and there was something incredible that happened here in Chicago in 1964 when Fannie Lou Hamer, spoke in front of the DNC about, the violence that the Black people in the South were experiencing. and that was in August of 1964 here in the city of Chicago. At that same moment, Kamala Harris was born in October of 1964. Imagine the power that organizers have in their communities and all of us when you talk, because change and it takes time, but there is progress.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what the moment that we're living right now, and it's like the fact that at the very moment when Fannie Lou who fought so hard and suffered so much, like many other incredible leaders in the fight for civil rights, but at 2 months later, the next president of the United States
was born.
was born. And so it's like change does happen. I am very proud and have been transformed by the conversations that we've been having in the network with all of you and the many other directors about the progress that we've made, right? Like we always look at there are those people who look at the glass half full or half empty, and it's like we've actually come a long ways, except that we don't talk about enough the people that have sacrificed, the people that have paid the price for us to have the rights and freedoms that we have now, that Trump, would take away if we have seen them. We've been losing them because we're not active, and that's what democracy means, right? It's not guaranteed. We have to constantly fight for it. But I've been thinking about Fannie Lou in 1964 only because when you look at that span of time and what we're looking at right now, change happens and organizing makes it happen.
Power's built over time.
It is. And as you say that too, some of the thing that struck me yesterday of like being in that space and that energy is that when you look at the roll call, like the folks leading those delegations don't look like they did 50, 60 years ago, right? You've got more people of color, you've got more women, you've got more young folks saying, this is who I want, right? To like represent our party and represent the ideas that I believe in, right? And then I think about, Shirley Chisholm, who was fighting for delegates to be recognized, right? And all the back and forth that happened to now to this moment where even before you walked in, all the delegates were there. Right? They're like, okay, we rock it. This is just the formality.
Exactly.
We go to the party, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just to your point, the growth that's happened and like the coupling of organizing and electoral work, what we call movement politics, and like how we keep building and moving stuff forward. And we're seeing the representation change.
And the legacy, like we're part of like a history, and we will do what we can in our generation and leave the rest to others. But that's why the joy of organizing, because we will do what it's for us to do in this moment, but it's leaving that legacy. People's action in this network, has done for us, right, and others. So that's what I love about this work.
So when you say like, leaving it for, the next generation to do, and then we take it back to the glass half empty, half full. I remember times where the glass was completely empty. So if it's half full, or even if it's half empty, if you want to call it that, that's progress. And then I'm like, I'll take that half empty glass because guess what? I need you to keep filling it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I need you to keep filling it. So if you're not ready to vote right now, sometimes I say, okay, I'm not gonna fight you on this. But I ask, what does it take for your vote to count? Or what do you have that you think counts? Is it your voice? Is it your feet? You're angry, you want to yell? Okay, well, let's go talk to an elected official and yell. And then eventually you're going to figure out where your vote fits in. Because this isn't about just this election. This is about the next one and the next one and the next one. And sometimes that next one, like you said, is a local race.
Yeah.
People complain about the price of groceries right now. Well, I'm sorry, but the president isn't changing the price of the groceries. The price of the peppers and the prices, of the oranges. But when you have food co-ops in your community that's governed by local ordinances, now that you're in the mind of organizing and in the mind of power building, you know now to lobby your city councils and your commissions and your mayors to change ordinance so you actually can have fresh produce that's less expensive. And it takes your mind off of, the price of groceries is so high, so I'm upset at the president.
Right.
You just got a real life education, and like I just changed my life through organizing, through lobbying, and now I can put the proper responsibilities on the proper offices and look at it that way.
So Juanita, what will we say to people who want to engage and be part of this incredible moment and join, this in this historic moment, what would you say? What is our invitation to people?
Yeah, so, we talked about the work that has to happen and the building that needs to be done, but we need volunteers to do that, right? And so, we want to get 43,000 volunteers trained on how to have those deep conversations so we can move people to action. And so we're inviting actually folks to join us in that and to be a part of building a new way of how we do politics and being a builder in that.
So again, please join us. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you, Ken, for the incredible work that you're doing on the ground. We are going to train hundreds of thousands of people, and this is how we build our future.
Yeah.
Please join us, and thank you for watching.